Okay, hello. We're just going to do a quick review of the Yucca camper. This was purchased in the summer of 2022. We've taken it on a few adventures so far throughout British Columbia, and now it's November and we are in a provincial park, and I thought I'd give you about a half-year review of the canopy itself. So originally, these things come with molly panels. This is live action, so we're not going to spend time cleaning up for your viewing pleasure. So originally these come with the molly panels. Installation is not included. Originally, I think if you might listen to David's video, he does a good job presenting the model. However, I thought installation was included. Is not. It's a separate feature. I kind of realized that when we got the build sheet, not a problem. But just to let you know, this is how the shell comes. Originally, we got the upgraded side lighting. We got the side lighting, and we decided to upgrade to these rigid work lights. They work fantastic. And we also got the control panel, the upgraded electronic control panel, and the drop-down table. So a few things about that. The electronic control panel is fantastic, and it's very easy to use, right? Those are the LED strips that you can also get, so we end up getting those. I recommend seeing if you can get something a little bit brighter, maybe something with different light settings online, and talk to David to install those for you. These are nice and they work, however, it'd be nice if they were a little bit brighter. The side panel for the rigid lights works fantastic. Just going to turn these off now. We also got the mosquito nettings, and those work fantastic too. They hook up on the inside. I'll show you when we're inside there. There's Velcro tape that attaches to those. Okay, so let's go inside. This is the it's not the Planar. Sorry, totally forgot. It is the Planar diesel heater. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Our toolkit. Okay, so inside, it's actually very comfortable. This is our little pupper, sleeps sometimes here, sometimes upstairs. The nice thing about the Yucca pack, it actually does come with this storage cabinet built in, and it is fantastic. You don't have to actually stress and worry about finding additional storage spaces right off the bat. Yes, people build storage spaces like the goose gear drawer system and the fridge slides. People have those built in, but just having this, it makes it so much easier, because in here we actually have, let's see, we actually have some electrical cables, extra batteries, and lighting, power for shore power, adapter for the I can't remember the adapter for the campers, which sometimes they exist at campsites. And at the bottom, these little covers come with the unit. In the bottom, we actually have stored some of our cooking utensils and dish soaps and whatnot. So this space is actually fantastic for that. So that way these things always stay here. So quite a few of those cooking utensils that you see out there, especially the kettle, the percolator, the stove, all fit in here. So they always stay in here. What I recommend is going to the foam shop or getting some foam from somewhere and padding not just the bottom but the whole side of this compartment, because there'll be things rattling around and you don't want to scratch the finishing like we've done there. So eventually I'm going to do that, get some very thin foam and then pad all the way around. Also note that this is one of the clamps that holds down your canopy, so that is in there. Now the neat thing that we talked to David when he was building out our camper, and we asked, hey, can we have access for the goal zero? We actually have a goal zero that we can put in here. Initially we want to put in there, however, I'm going to show you in a moment. Inside there's like a little foot, there's a little corner or edge of the canopy that prevents the goal zero from sitting perfectly in there. So David was kind enough to manufacture this molly panel and rivet it in. So what we actually did instead, you'll probably like this, we actually mounted the goal zero right in here. And I don't see these setups very often. However, the Goal Zero 1400, and I believe it's the same dimensions as a Goal Zero 1500, fits perfectly back there, and it will stay in place, it will not move. And you can probably see here, this is a power cable for the Yeti Link. So the Yeti Link is actually already installed in here, and this can plug into the back of the Goal Zero and it will fit in place perfectly. So the thing that prevents the Goal Zero from being in this space is actually right here, is that edge. So kind of like a crimp that is in place there. We didn't know that at the time that we ordered it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to build a little I think this is about 1 inch tall. I'm going to build a 1 inch platform and put the platform in place, and hopefully at that point the whole Goal Zero will sit a little bit taller, and I can remove the moly panel and allow the Goal Zero to sit flush in this area. These are the electrical connections that come with your Goal Zero, with your camper, and these actually hook into the relay that connects to the display port. Now, my one comment about the port, ideally that port would be somewhere around on this side, in this corner of the camper. The reason being is at night when you want to turn off the outside lights, or if you want to turn them back on, it's a real pain to get down from the top, go out here and push that button. Unless you have like a really long stick that you can hold on the side there, and with a stick you push the button. Like, it makes me think like Futurama with a little extended finger. Can't remember the professor's name, but anyway, he invented it. So yeah, that would be my one comment. That would require some kind of bracket manufacturing in this area. Let's put this away. In this area here, and it'd be really nice if it was tucked away in this corner. Maybe have the bracket in there, control panel over here, and at that point in the future you can connect your diesel heater or propane heater in here as well. Now, when we were talking to David, he also mentioned that when he built a Yucca pack, and this is for a 2018 6-foot bed Tacoma, so on a 5.5 foot, it might be a little bit different, but when he built these for the Tacoma, apparently here, this is the exact spacing you would need to install one of those propane heaters. Now, you have to confirm with him, don't take my word for it, but it's the same on this side. That is the logic for that was the plan for this space right here. As you can see, the canopy, well, my truck is not fully sealed, so we do get a bit of dust inside here, but that's the same for every truck. You're gonna have to make your adjustments and modifications to make it fit. Another word to note for the people that are interested in the Yeti Link and the Goal Zero, so this actually comes through a hole in the bottom of the storage space and down through an expanded drainage hole in the bed of the Tacoma. So David was nice enough to drill that for us and cut out the hole and put a grommet in there, and I just ran through the power cable, and that was the best solution for us. For a 6-foot bed Tacoma, we actually had to order two of these cables. The reason being is the cable was not long enough to run from the battery all the way to the Yeti Link in the back here. It was about 3 or 4 feet short. It was very unfortunate. We had to spend an extra $100 for it. Goal Zero does not recommend splicing the cable and adding length to it, but we ended up having to order 2 separate cables for it. This is as I meant to say, this is the Velcro for the mosquito netting, and it's on both sides. Say hello. You are in the shot. Well, famous now. Okay, onto the top. So you can actually see here the top is not, you don't get into the same, well, you get in the same way as the Go Fast or the other campers. However, David actually had a pretty smart idea. One side of the removable panel, well, this one is removable too, but the smaller panel is actually narrow on one end and wider at the other end. So what that does is actually creates a different length of the sleeping area. So This is the wider gap here, which means this is the shorter sleeping area, and this is the narrower gap here, and this is the longer sleeping area. Now, I'm 5'11", and this longer sleeping area is actually just big enough for me. My feet tend to touch the back of the wedge there, and sometimes it can get a bit cold. But the only reason we actually have this open, especially in the wintertime, is so that the heater provides heat in the bottom area so that our little pupper doesn't freeze. We have tried to have them in here, but that's for you to decide what you want to do with your dog. Overall, the canopy comes with that motion sensing light, and let me see if I can get it on. It is fairly soft lighting, not very bright. However, it's all you need for coming into bed. We decided that sometimes at night when we're trying to like set up this area, if we get in somewhere and it's late, it would be good to have a bit more light. So we had that LED strip left over from another rooftop tent, and we connected that LED to a battery bank from Lee Valley Tools, and it provides us much better lighting, much brighter lighting than what was in here originally. That being said, as the camper comes, it is plenty of lighting and plenty of features that you will not need anything right away. The back wall, it is Velcro tearaway, so this window here is the only one that has the plastic cover on it. The other side windows have the bug mesh and their regular tent fabric. We have not had any issues with the tent leaking, or let me get that out of here, with the tent leaking during high winds. We were totally protected. It is fairly loud when the wind blows, and the fabric kind of sloshes around. You might have a hard time sleeping, but that's nothing to do with the tent itself. That's just more to do with the weather and which way you're facing the wind. We were silly, and the wind was blowing this way, and our whole tent was shaking. We had to turn the car around and face the wind, and then we were fine. There's a little strap here that you can use when you're folding down the tent. Grab the pull down strap, let the elastic strap wrap around the tent itself, and you should be able to fold it in just 1 or 2 minutes tops. We have had I don't want to say the accordion style, Smittybilt style tents where you actually have to fold them in like this way, and those were fine. However, this is much faster, much better for us. In the morning, we let the heater run, and we get ready inside. We're nice and warm, and then we go out and have our fire, have our coffee. It's great. The last thing is the Planar heater. Actually, I want to show this real quick. I wasn't planning on showing the same video. However, had a few, I don't want to say issues, but had to figure out a few things on how this worked. So let's say you buy one of these. There's two things you have to realize. One, it does use a lot of power. We have it hooked to the car battery, and unfortunately, I think our battery needs to be swapped out, partially because it failed the battery test at the dealership, and also because it's fairly old. Now, initially, I was planning on hooking up the Planar heater to the Goal Zero itself, to the little ports that are right there. However, since it draws so much power, I think those little ports are only rated for 10 amps, and I believe this draws more than that, because I couldn't power it. It was just the Goal Zero side ports there kept shutting down, and just wasn't able to run it. Eventually I had to run it straight to the battery, and it ran fine the whole night. And for the whole night, this is how much gas it used up. So we started it off here somewhere, and that's it. I think this whole thing will last you for 3 days running non-stop. However, I don't think your car battery would last you for 3 days. This is the cable that goes to the battery, the little one. This is the cable that goes to your controller, and this hose goes, obviously, you don't need any clamps or anything here. There's this little edge, there's a little divot that will hold your hose in place. One thing I recommend, actually, for if you buy one of these, after you buy it, buy some what do you call that insulation material? This insulation material that van lifers use to kind of insulate their builds. It's a silver heat shield. The name escapes me right now, but you can go to any Rona, Home Depot. It's called Reflectix. Yes, that's what it is. So grab some Reflectix, and if you can make a Reflectix sleeve for this hose, it's 10 foot long, and you can just use duct tape to hold your Reflectix in place. It will bring more heat into your tent. It'll be less escaping. When we were using the heater, when we were trying to heat up this whole section, so the top tent and the bottom section, we found that if the heater was running all night, you had to have it on all night, otherwise you would get cold very, very fast. The material of the tent, it is waterproof, however, it is fairly breathable, and because it is so breathable in the summertime, it's nice because you don't get any condensation. However, in the winter, when you have a heater going, you will lose a lot of that heat through the tent walls. So we found that at night, when we had this piece open here, you would have to be running constantly. In the morning, we brought the little puppy up, and we had him up in the loft, and we closed the opening. The heater got that section hot very, very quick, and it was very, very efficient. However, the moment you turn it off, the heat lasts a little bit, but again, it just permeates out of the tent walls. Also, with the canopy, you can order the awning mounts. So this is the quick pitch awning, and these are the brackets that David manufactured. Just that basically bolts on this one, and the one in front, it's the same one, just the reversed, bolt it straight into the canopy walls. And if you order at the same time, David can do the install for you, and you get these little side brackets as well. Just keep in mind, this actually lifts up your overall height of increases the height of your car. So actually, the overall top is lower than the top of our awning. And just to kind of put in perspective, this is by far the lowest awning, the lowest rooftop tent that you can buy for your Tacoma. Notice how above the aileron we probably have only a 1/4 of an inch gap, and that is more than you would need. Like, we never had an issue of the aileron hitting the bottom of the loft. It's fantastic for us. Overall, the car with 33-inch tires, BP51 suspension with Dobinson's leafs, and the quick pitch awning is at 83 inches. So that's 2.108 centimeters. Most parking garages are 2.1 meters in Vancouver, so something to consider if you're wanting to buy one of these. If you're running regular 30-inch tires on regular height suspension, you should not have much of an issue. However, the canopy is about 400 pounds. I believe that's what it was. David again can confirm. And I can, if you're really interested, I can look up the numbers. We measured it. But I would recommend upgrading your leaf springs. I had the BP51s, the Dakar packs that came with the BP51 kit, and they were not strong enough. We were getting some bottoming out and some sagging. If you want to get the BPs, I would recommend getting the Adeleaf as well, or just get the Dobinsons. I think they're good for up to 600 pounds, and it rides very, very nice. I haven't had an issue. That being said, that's the review of the Yucca Pack camper. Hopefully you found it interesting. Again, talk to David. I think he keeps upgrading and changing designs all the time, improving on his existing model, and I think future versions would be a lot better. Not that this is bad, but it's always room for improvement. Anyway, enjoy and have a nice winter. Okay, so now we're packing up. The loft is fully closed up. Fully closed up. Put the slot back in place, the section back in place. You do have to leave the windows a little bit open because the tent material insulates so well against wind. When you're closing the tent, the wedge portion, and if you don't leave those open, you'll wait a long time for the air to deflate. It's basically like a big balloon, and you just won't be able to close it very fast. So we kind of leave them open on both sides, and I'm gonna show you how fast it is to pack it up. That being said, before I go ahead and do that, a few things to note on this version of the Yucca Pack. Things might have changed, and I'm pretty sure Dave has made these changes. However, the seal that originally came with the Yucca Pack was very finicky. As you can see, it actually came off when we close this up, because we're not inside the canopy all the time. When we first close this up, we have to close the top, and notice how this has a lip. The lip faces this way, so basically once this is down, the tailgate goes up, so the tailgate goes this way. If this lip faces the other way, then you first have to close the bottom of the tailgate and then close this top first. You'll notice basically it hooks, this little lip here hooks into this little edge, this little canal basically on your tailgate, and that can cause issues. That's exactly what ripped that off. Now Dave has actually sent us a new seal, so I need to install it. I haven't had a chance to do it. And the other thing that Yucca Pack does that I haven't seen any other manufacturers do is they'll give you some posts that will provide structural integrity to your canopy. So what I mean by that is, right now when we were installing it, we were in a big rush, and we didn't have enough time to finish doing a proper installation. But what would normally happen is there's these little sleeves that go over the bolts, metal, I don't know what you call them, metal tubes, let's say, and they are the perfect height for the lip of the canopy and the top of this slide to kind of crunch on, so the bottom of the canopy won't bow out like this does. I don't know if you notice it here, you might notice it there a little bit better. There's a bit of a bow out from how the pressure squeezes everything together. So if you install those, let's call them towers, if you install those towers, you shouldn't have that issue. The other problem that this has caused, the lack of those towers, is, so first of all, it makes the gap between your seal and your tailgate much smaller than it needs to be, and that's what caused that grommet to rip off. The other issue is it actually caused the back seal, so the seal that's at the bulkhead of the canopy, to literally slide out from under the canopy. So Dave sent us another one of those. I just need to find a way to lift the canopy, maybe with a jack and some 2x4s underneath the bottom of the canopy, and lift the canopy up, install the seal, and drop it down. That's something to be mindful of. Just double check your canopy once you get it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put you down and see how long it takes me to close all this up. Okay, let's try this out. Oh, fuck. Well, not sure how much you saw of that.